Hey, welcome to Mad English TV. Should Catalonia become its own country? What do you think? You've probably heard this in the news in the last few weeks. So Catalonia is a region in Spain, and there's about 7.5 million people that live there. And a lot of those people want to break away from Spain. But Spain says, no, you can't leave us. Okay, so it's a very interesting situation. But you know, this is a very common situation in the world. Have you heard of Kurdistan? If you've been watching the news in the last few weeks, this has been a major story as well. Okay, Kurdistan is not a country. It's a region that is in about 4 different countries: Iraq, Iran, Turkey, and Syria. And it's similar to Catalonia in that the Kurdish people have their own language and their own culture, so they want to be their own country. But one big difference from Catalonia is that there's a lot more people that live in Kurdistan than that live in Catalonia. Okay, there's about 28 million people who are Kurdish. Okay, that's a lot of people. That's more than the population of Australia. That's almost the population of Canada. That's crazy. And they don't have their own country. Wow. Speaking of Canada, we have the same situation here. Okay, we have a huge province called Quebec. Okay, there's about 8 million, I think more than 8 million people live here. They have their own language, French, and they have their own culture. And a lot of people in this province want to break away from Canada. Okay, we had a very important referendum in 1995. What do you think the results of that referendum were? Okay, the people voted. Should we stay in Canada or should we leave Canada? What do you think the results were? 50.5% voted to stay in Canada. Wow! That means Canada was this close to becoming a much smaller country. Can you believe it? That's such a close referendum. That's 50-50, right? I mean, I don't know how many people would this 0.5% be. Maybe like a few thousand people. So it was really, really close. Okay, you know, there's other places in the world that are like this, like Taiwan. Is Taiwan part of China or is it its own country? What about Scotland or Tibet? Tibet is a huge region in the southern part of China. What about Crimea? Crimea was a huge story in the news 3 years ago. I'm sure you remember that. Okay, so what should happen with all these places? Catalonia, Kurdistan, Quebec, Scotland, Tibet. What should happen with these places? Well, the world is a very complicated place. Okay, I don't have the answers. But, you know, there's about 7,000 languages in the world, and there's only about 200 countries. Okay, that's crazy. That means there's about 35 languages per country. Wow, that's bizarre. But you know what? The world is a very bizarre place. Okay, look at this island here. This island is called Guam. Do you know which country it is? It's part of the USA. The USA way over there. What business does the USA have over here? I have no idea. Okay, now I want to teach you a very interesting term. Double standard. Have you heard it before? Double standard. Okay, a standard is like a value or principle. Okay, so if you offered me drugs, let's say. You said, hey, Mark, here are some drugs. I would say, sorry, that's against my standards. I don't do drugs. Okay, it goes against my standards. It goes against my values or my principles. Okay, so that's what standard means. So double standard means that you have two different standards, and that's bad. Okay, China is building islands down here beside the Philippines and Indonesia. Okay, and the US says, hey, China, you're not allowed to build islands over here. Okay, now that's a double standard because the USA has their own island over here called Guam. Okay, why are they there? Guam is much further away from the US than these islands are from China. Okay, this distance is much shorter than the distance from Guam to the USA. And the USA took over this island, okay, a long time ago. But if they tell China, you can't have islands down here, that's a double standard, right? They're going against their own rules, okay? We call them hypocrites, okay? A hypocrite is someone who says, you can't do that, but then they do it themselves, okay? So don't be a hypocrite, okay? I don't know, the world is such an interesting place. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Okay, let's say you go here to Kaliningrad. You're in between Poland and Lithuania. So which country are you in? You're in Russia. What? Why? Russia is over here. Okay, what business does Russia have over here? I have no idea, okay, but it's part of Russia. So the world is just such an interesting place. What about this? Northeast India. This is a huge piece of land over here. And it's part of India, but it's on the other side of Bangladesh. Look, there's a whole country here. Here's India over here. And then here's India over here. Wow. Actually, I have a friend from this part. He's from Nagaland. It's a province or it's a state over here somewhere. And he actually looks more Chinese than Indian. Okay, when I met him, I thought he was Chinese, but he's actually from India. Okay, and a lot of these people here, they want to break away from India because they say we have our own language, we have our own culture. Okay, so this is a very common situation in the world. It's not just Catalonia, it's not just Kurdistan, it's a lot of these different places in the world. So this is how the world is. Welcome to the world. So I want to ask you, how can we get world peace? Our world is a very divided place. Everyone has a different idea of how things should be. So personally, I want to live in a very peaceful world. I want to try to get world peace. But I don't have the answers. I'm hoping you have the answers. So what are the answers? Okay, I want you to post your opinions down there in the comments. And as always, I'll see you over in the next episode of Mad English TV. Take care.